Welcome back, once again adventurers, to Let's Play Chaos Head. And in the last episode, the unfortunate truth between the estrangement of Senna Aoi and her father Hatano was finally revealed in terrifying detail. I have no words, no possible words to encompass the gruesome tragedy that unfolded in Senna's life. But as a result of that, she is determined to hunt down Hatano and put an end to his existence, something which Hatano himself is probably been waiting for this whole time, since he was complicit in putting his own wife through the experiments of the as of yet incomplete device known as Noah 2. Little did he realize the price that he would have to pay for his actions and the consequences that would ensue. Afterward, Senna interrogated Kozupi about something wild-eyed, then finally sped off on her way alone. That is because Kozupi has only just mentioned to Senna the fact that she actually ran into Hatano, who is pretty much a homeless person by this point, only recognizable by his disheveled appearance, his dead eyes, and a sign with the words "The world is ending." For it was he who explained to Kozupi the nature of the D-swords initially, though of course unlike Senna, Pato is not a gigglomaniac, so though he knows of their existence, he cannot see them himself. Kozupi went chasing after her, but I remained unsure of why Senna had suddenly started acting like a woman possessed. That is because Takumi doesn't know the truth about Hatano. There is one other person that knows that truth, Rimi Sakihata. And now I was plodding through the neighborhood of Shimokitazawa. That's a very hefty mouthful there. If I walked a little further, I'd reach my parents' house. It was less than a 30-minute walk from my base. I wondered if Nanami would be home. I wonder if Rimi will continue to try and stop you from going there in the first place, because that is exactly what she tried to do. She explicitly forbade Takumi from ever attempting to reach his parents' house. Though less so than in Shibuya, there were many people walking along the streets of Shimokitazawa. The Esper commotion continued to have a pronounced influence, and there were people who grinned mockingly when they saw me, or even took out their cell phones and snapped pictures. It's been a month now since that unfortunate turn of events, and still the same. Devoured by humiliation and shame, I hurried along the road home.
ごめんね。
Rimi murmured, her eyes still lowered, as she walked a little behind me. In the time that it had taken us to reach this point, she repeated the same thing over 10 times. Clearly there is a reason why Rimi doesn't want Takumi to go through with this. But I think if we do, we might find out the reason why.
黙ってて。ごめん。
Too late for apologies, Rimi. Far too late. Even if she apologized to me, there was nothing I could say in response. I didn't know Rimi. It had been that way since the first time we met. Rimi had supported me. Rimi had been there for me. But in the end, I still didn't understand a thing about her. Given the fact that she was able to project the image of Hatano into Senna's dead spots, which begs the question, or rather, the point. Senna isn't the only one she could do that to. I wonder who else she has been conveniently doing that to in order to masquerade around. The whole time I'd let things stay that way, ambiguous, unresolved. And come to think of it, there was also the actually, never mind. Maybe because I had an inkling that once everything became clear, I wouldn't be able to stay with Rimi very longer. That's probably what she's worried about most, although I am afraid to say, Takumi Nishijou, there is little avoiding that outcome. I feared that.
どうして僕と一緒にいてくれるの?
A question that we should have asked a long time ago. Once I mustered my courage, it was all I could ask her. The reason why Rimi spent her time together with the likes of me. Was it because, after all, she was attempting to entrap me, the same as you were? But the answer she gave back to me wasn't anything of the sort.
あなたに目覚めてほしくないの。普通の生活を送ってほしかった。
That is a wish, however, that can never fully be granted, because if it were, then things would still go from bad to worse. She didn't want me to awaken as a gigalomaniac. Rimi knew more about me than I did.
一体君は何者なの?
私は
After some hesitation, Rimi said,
私はタクの友達だって思ってる。
You think, you say.
友達でいたいな。
And yet you still have many more secrets besides. In other words, she was telling me not to ask anything more. But I couldn't stop myself from asking.
僕はギガロマニアックスなの?
そうとも言えるし。
A very vague answer and its implications.
違うとも言える。
Because Takumi Nishijou wasn't like Senna, Ayase, Kozue, and Rimi. Which one is it? Was she trying to dodge the subject?
君は IR2 のこと知ってたの?
聞いたことがあるだけ。
She didn't say who she'd heard it from.
セナが言ってたのは本当なの?
嘘だよ。
A lie. The answer calling it a lie was itself a lie. I could tell from looking at Rimi's demeanor.
君は
From this point forward, we can't trust Rimi anymore. I was about to demand even more answers of her, but I held my tongue. Was Rimi my ally, or my enemy, or my ally? I would say neither nor. If I asked, her response would determine whether or not I could be with her, so I couldn't ask her. If I pretended nothing had happened, I could go on being deceived, and we could go on acting the same as we always had until now. Maybe things would be easier and happier that way, except deluding yourself in that fashion isn't going to stop New Gen anytime soon. Except Takumi has other ideas. Yes, that's what I'd do. I'd feign being an idiot and let Rimi keep on fooling me. If nothing else, Rimi had helped me countless times, so she wouldn't seek to harm me from here on out, either. Only in one instance, if your existence threatened Shogun's. I'd be fine with it if I did as she said and lived an ordinary life. You might be, but others will not.
ありがとう。
And besides, Nozomi and Ganishi Narose are coming for you one way or the other, Takumi Nishijou. Even if you pretended otherwise, events will soon be out of fate's control. Averting my eyes from her, I gave voice to those words rather than to my questions.
守ってくれて。
タク、
You've earned that much. Unable to think of anything else to say, I silently continued down the road to my parents' house. At last, a familiar road came into sight. A small, quiet residential area. At times I could hear the faint sound of a train speeding along somewhere far away. Scenery I'd known since my childhood. The place where I was born and raised. I traveled this road to go to both elementary school and middle school. A street that is, eerily deserted. If I entered the narrow road before me, my house would be close at hand. I was scared of coming face to face with Nanami, but I couldn't bear not making sure of whether or not Nanami's hand was where it belonged. Calming myself by pausing to take some breaths, I started to step forward.
待って。
When I turned back, Rimi was looking at me with a face that seemed on the verge of crying. She's still pleading with him not to do this.
どうしても行くの？
There is no choice in the matter.
ねえ、行かないで。もう普通じゃいられなくなるよ。
I believe that was a given, regardless of what Takumi Nishijou did or didn't do.
私そんなの嫌だな。
It's far too late for that. What was that supposed to...
帰ろう。あのコンテナハウスに帰ろう。私タクが望む限りずっと一緒にいるから。それで一緒に学校に行って大臣と3人で他愛もない話をして、帰りに立ち食いそば屋さんとか CD ショップとかに寄って。
If only things could remain that way.
そうやってこれからもやっていこうよ。
僕はナナミに会わなくちゃ。
But Takumi is resolute as well.
いないよ、きっと。
How did she know? Was she lying again? Would it be bad for her if I visited home?
私タクの悲しむ顔見たくない。
That's how you...
もう謎かけみたいなことはやめてよ。
I'd had enough. Was she telling me to stay unaware of the truth forever? That she is. I couldn't feign idiocy after all. Everyone kept thrusting mysteries at me, even though I'd wanted to remain ignorant.
実家に行っちゃいけない理由があるなら言ってよ。こんな中途半端なのうんざりなんだ。
Sick of it. A Up until now, hadn't I myself been the one to choose to leave everything half-finished? Hadn't I run away from it all by my own will? Yes, which is why I ought to keep doing the same thing henceforth. But things have changed. Go back to my base. Listen to Rimi. There was no need for me to see Nanami, except there are a few disquieting things now appearing in my mind. We haven't seen or interacted with a single person in the Kurenai building since this whole entire thing started. What did I plan on doing if I went to check her right hand? If her right hand was there and it wasn't? Wouldn't that mean it was my fault? Nanami would hate me. She would resent me. I was a pathetic guy who hadn't been able to rescue my little sister. Said fact would become written in stone. I wouldn't become a prisoner to guilt if I left things ambiguous the way they were now. I should do that. It was the best possible choice. And yet it is no choice at all. Don't look at anything. No matter how many mysteries are thrust at you, ignore them. Shut yourself away from the world.
ほんと世話が焼けるなあ。ナナがいないと何にもできないんだから。
ダメだ。
My mind recalled Nanami's bright voice.
ダメだよ。
If I fled here, I would never be able to face Nanami again for the rest of my life. I would never be able to return to my childhood home again for the rest of my life.
タク
I clenched my fists. I stepped into the narrow road leading to my parents' home. They were less than 50 meters from here to the house. He's going through with it. At first I walked on swift feet. Midway through, I started running, aiming for the house where I'd been born and raised. Another 30 meters. 20 meters. 10. 0 meters. What is it you found? The house I knew so well wasn't there.
あれ
That is truly ominous. It could be that the house was demolished and rebuilt for this rather nice-looking establishment. But that isn't what happened. There was a different name on the nameplate. It wasn't Nishijou. For starters, the house wasn't shaped the same. The house I'd lived in was far newer and cleaner looking. I looked around. I thought I'd been one off, that I'd gotten the neighbors. But I hadn't. In the first place, the surrounding scenery didn't match up with my memories. I thought that maybe I'd gotten lost along the way, or I'd entered the road a block too early, but it couldn't be. Very foreboding this is. I'd recognized the route up until here. I'd remembered the streets alone. But the house wasn't there. When I walked along the road from my memory, the same landscape from my memory failed to emerge, and an unfamiliar scene spread out before me. It would be very unnatural for Takumi's parents to have upped and left without telling him, of all things. But again, that isn't what has happened. In other words, this is another delusion. Or rather, Takumi's been living in several delusions, and this is just one of them. I'd never seen it before. It was a place I'd become deeply familiar with, yet I had the sensation I was coming here for the first time. And when I say delusion, this house, right here, is not a delusion.
シャーメイビューだわ。
違うよ。
Rimi stood close by me. She denied my words immediately.
この世界にタクの帰る場所はないの。
Bright afternoon light shone into the hospital corridor. It was fairly dim during the span of time immediately before the transition to night, since the indoor lights hadn't been turned on yet. Now here is where this episode of Let's Play ChäoS will come to an end. And when we return, adventurers, it's time we finally got some real answers in the process. As always, until next we meet.